Assassin's Creed is about a grand battle between Templars and Assassins that are hidden behind the scenes of history.
The Assassins are a force dedicated to maintaining and protecting our free will. And that sets them in direct opposition to the Templars, who are all about control.
It's a very, very interesting universe where we have many levels of depth and many angles to explore.
It's a totally immersive game where you get to relive amazing experience in a strong historical context.
With Assassin's Creed, the fans are very important to us, and we know how many people are out there waiting for the next installment and are excited to see what's going to happen. So it's important on the story side that we deliver new twists, new turns, and that we continue the narrative the way we had begun.
Assassin's Creed 1, as most of people know, was set in the Third Crusades during the 12th century. Assassin's Creed 2 was set in the Renaissance. This time around, we are going to focus especially on the city of Rome itself and on the life of Ezio, the second part of his life where he decides to build a new order, which we call the Assassin's Brotherhood.
So Ezio is initially just a young guy who finds himself forced into this world that he never knew existed. He's then exposed to this war between Templars and Assassins, and then struggles and fights to find his place in things. And it just so happens to be sort of at the side of the Assassins.
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is a little bit like a new season of a great TV show.
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood starts off at exactly the moment that Assassin's Creed 2 ended. So, when we made Assassin's Creed 2, we understood that Ezio's story was more epic than anything we could tell with one game.
And this time around, what we wanted to give the players is the fantasy of being leader of an assassin order. And it made sense for us to put the player in that position and have that extra responsibility of not only teaching them, but also recruiting them and molding the next generation of assassins.
The player will be able to recruit new assassins, train them, and eventually send them on different types of missions.
You will see many familiar faces in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Lots of characters that you knew before in Assassin's Creed 2 will return, but not necessarily the way you expect. Now Ezio is much older, he's wiser, and he's about to become a leader of the Assassin Order, and he'll need to prove that he truly can lead. But things aren't going to go as planned.
Next on the Brotherhood Diaries. By ascending through the Renaissance Church, the Templars seized control of Rome and made it the heart of their hidden empire. Now its citizens live in fear and poverty, but hope will arise as a brotherhood is born. Welcome to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood Diaries.
In Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Ezio's villa is attacked and destroyed by Cesare Borgia. After Ezio's villa is destroyed, he journeys to Rome to rebuild the Assassin's Order and strike at the heart of the Templars.
Rome was completely decrepit. People were poor, people were starved, they were scared, they were being bullied all the time. Rome was not the jewel that we know today or even thought it would be at that time.
The city of Rome was truly the center of power and corruption at the time. So there's going to be a strong military presence represented by the Borgias. So Ezio is going to fight against the Borgia. He's going to bring the Renaissance back to Rome.
When you're going to want to rebuild Rome, you're going to have to deal with zones that are occupied by the Borgias. When you get rid of one of those Borgia zones or Borgia towers, you're going to be able to open more shops, open stables, people will look healthier, there's going to be less bandits.
Very subtly, we see Rome change, and the people become confident that the Borgias have less and less influence over their lives.
Rome as a city is nice because you have a bit of water, huge landmarks, variations in levels. You have hills, the 7 hills of Rome. There's the Colosseum, the Pantheon, Castel Sant'Angelo, there's the Vatican. So that's all the new stuff that you're going to see in this city.
Rome is 3 times the size of Florence. It's the biggest map that we've ever done in an Assassin's Creed game. And so it made sense for us to introduce the horse in the city. Having other NPCs on a horse will allow you to do horse against horse combat mode.
You'll be able to assassinate from horse, start a free run sequence from your horse, air assassinate a guy and take his horse. So there's a lot of cool new moves that we're adding with that play element.
Ezio, now a master assassin, will see the potential in some recruits and save them from the Borgia oppression by fighting off guard, surrounding the recruit, and he will invite them to join the order.
The thing is, the player will actually have to train these guys. But through the process of the game and through the missions that you can send them on, you'll be able to upgrade them and make them even stronger. With this, the player will have some pretty kick-ass allies to help them fight the Borgia.
But you gotta be careful because they can die.
And once they're dead, they're gone forever.
As a player, you totally get to customize your own assassin. You can specialize a certain assassin with long range or another one that could help you out in hand-to-hand combat fighting along with you.
Like the coolest thing I ever saw was I was in a big fight. I called my Assassin's Guild. They came in, they took out the guys. Next thing I knew, they threw some smoke bombs, which then allowed me to finish off the guys, and then they ran off. It was brilliant. Once you see them in action, your jaw's gonna drop.
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is really an experience in speed and power in a way that Assassin's Creed 2 wasn't.
Rome is the huge city. It's the largest city ever built by the Assassin's Creed team, so there's a lot to see and a lot to discover in Rome.
It's about 3 times the size of Florence, so it's the biggest world we've ever done in our map.
The production has been exponential. Everything is moving faster. You can do more with the world. You can use more abilities. At the same time, Ezio is acquiring power.
Ezio is much more mature, he's seasoned, he's experienced, and he gets to build his own assassin's order. You really have the feeling of playing the master assassin. We have what we call memorable moments. Places in the game where we wanted the player to feel really like an epic mission.
I wanted the player to remember each set piece and be able to talk about them with friends, not only next week, but next month.
One of the biggest set piece that we have is the Castel Sant'Angelo, which is actually the main residence of the Pope. It actually took a whole team just to build that specific landmark. It's so huge.
Many aspects of the game were actually very challenging. The horse is one of them. There's a good reason why we didn't do it on AC1 and on AC2.
We really wanted to work hard on the horse and really improve the horse a lot, and that was a behemoth for us.
Having the horse inside the city is something that multiplies all the problems you have with the horse, because then you can do free running, then you can do assassinations, then you can do hijacking. The horse was definitely a challenge.
Personally, when I play Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, my favorite part is to be really stealthy. And what's nice about it is that now you have your fellow assassins with you. You can really come up with a plan, send your assassins on missions.
You can call your fellow assassins to kill people around you who you want dead. Ezio just does it with this little gesture like they're dead.
I mix it up a bit. I do like to do this social stealth action, like blade in the crowd type. Sometimes I just love to go in Rambo style and just kill everything.
I like kind of barreling through things. I'm not a delicate player. I'm not trying to master the nuances of the system, although there are many of them. I really like just doing high voltage things like throwing an axe into someone's head.
My favorite gadget are the smoke bombs. Call your assassins, they throw smoke bombs, it's chaos. And then you just go for the kill and savor that final moment.
We've been toying around with the multiplayer idea for a while now, for a good 2-3 years.
Having a multiplayer in Assassin's Creed game sounds weird because we're an action-adventure game, but it's something the players were telling us that they wanted to do.
It was really important to give the player the same kind of feeling that he experienced in the single-player aspect of the game, but in multiplayer.
It would have been easy to just slap on a deathmatch multiplayer, and I think it would have done a disservice to our core fan base. It had to be really smart. It's not a frag game, it's not a deathmatch, it's not how many people you kill, but how you kill them.
I think I prefer the courtesan as a multiplayer character because I can play and look at a cute girl at the same time.
The one that I choose a lot is the priest and the courtesan. Not that I feel like a woman sometimes.
It's the courtesan for me. Yeah, she's sneaky and yeah.
I know you're there, Ezio, so consider this an invitation from my family to yours.
For me, Brotherhood is about character. and conflict.
We actually based the whole story around the Borgia family, and they actually existed in real life. Their history is so rich, like they're so decadent, they totally control Rome, they had their hand over the papacy and everything, so it's like a really, really good example of how power can corrupt you.
I worked very closely with a historian. Anything that's possible historically is allowed in the game.
Paper cards!
We're never going to have anything in the game that history directly contradicts. That doesn't mean that we don't imagine events that could have happened.
Ready to go again?
You don't need to ask.
One should always have the freedom to choose.
The struggle between the Assassins and the Templars is part of this universal push-pull between control and freedom.
The Templars are all about control over the mass, telling people what to think, telling people what morals to have, what's right and wrong. And the Assassins represent freedom of thought, freedom of choice.
A lot of gamers talk about how our endings are like cliffhangers, but I think the Assassin's Creed game, like any season finale, deserves such an ending.
Don't forget, it's all about Desmond's ancestors. So it's all about Desmond's story going into a machine and reliving ancestors' past lives.
What will be really racking their brains at the end of the game is that you can't really trust anybody.
We really wanted to keep people on their toes, who's on my side and who's really not on my side, have the player doubt who his friends are and who his enemies are.
It's really like a big conspiracy and you don't know who's a Templar, who is an assassin. That part is really true for Desmond as well.
You start to see how messages from the past are being conveyed to Desmond in the present, and we're building to something really big.